Welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. So today I have another review that does not have a robot in it. This is the Robot Spirits Earth Federation Force Weapon Set version anime. I'm sure most of you have seen my Xeon Force weapon set review, and I had some issues with it. There were some things I liked about it. So this is the Earth Federation Force version. So as you can see on the box art here, they kind of did the same thing. They highlighted the actual weapons, and all the mobile suits are kind of grayed out. You do have some of the things you can do on here, some of the effect parts that they're compatible with, and then this is the actual set you get here. So they got some really neat, interesting pieces, some guns that I'm sure some people have never seen before, and then that's the side profile there. So let's actually open it up and take a look at it real quick. Now that we have everything laid out, let's take a look at what weapons you get. So the first one here is a beam spray gun. It is an odd looking weapon. It's gray, dark gray and yellow with a red camera. It is compatible with a firing effect. This is actually the beam spray gun for the RGM-79F Desert GM. They have not made a figure of the Desert GM in the Robot Spirits line, but this is one of the weapons that the Desert GM uses. Another weapon that it uses, probably its main weapon, is this gun. This is actually a rail cannon with an underslung 4-tube missile launcher. So it does have a collapsible stock and a swiveling side handle here, and it is compatible with firing effects. It looks really neat. It's kind of the Desert GM had some weird weapon designs, and it's quite large, but it is a rail cannon, so that we don't have a rail cannon effect part, but we get its gun, which I guess is kind of nice. So we have two other guns here. So this one is another beam spray gun. Looks like a super soaker, and it is compatible with an effect part, and it does have a little camera down here and what I assume is a EPAC, this yellow tube thing. But this is a beam spray gun for the RGM-79F GM land combat type. So that GM actually shares the same model number with the Desert GM, and this is one of the weapons for it. So it's sculpted accurately. There's no moving parts on it or anything. And we also have another rail cannon. This one also goes to the land combat type GM. It does have a swiveling handle there. Otherwise it's all one solid piece. It has a camera here. There's no real detail in the rear side of the camera. It is compatible with a bazooka firing effect, although it is not a bazooka. Because they made it compatible with the bazooka effect, the barrel here is much larger than it should be. So they kind of messed up the sculpt by doing that. Not to mention it, again, it doesn't fire rockets or anything. It's a rail cannon, which is much cooler. Another piece we get is a little shield, and this one is also for the land combat type GM, and it actually has two connectors in here for beam sabers. So you would place the beam saber handles in here, and I'll demonstrate it later on, and then you can emit the blades out of here like a melee weapon. You also have a hard point here for just a regular shield handle, and a hard point here for the ball jointed arm connector, all of which you'll have to take off of existing figures that you already have. But it's a nice little piece. And so lastly here we have this one. We're going to grab this handle here. So this is the missile launcher, and we're going to have to build it a little bit. So this is the base of it. This is just the handle. And we're going to take 3 of these missile pods here, if I can get them out, and you just attach them into each hard point. So So there's one on the side. We're going to do one on the other side, and then one on top. And you now have a missile launcher. This is actually a weapon from Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team and is used by the ground Gundams and ground GMs. I don't know, again, you know, we don't have a desert GM, we don't have a land combat type GM figure. We also don't have any Robot Spirits, 8th MS Team, ground Gundams, or ground GMs. So here's another weapon for figures we don't have. One odd design choice they have with it is they don't actually fit flush on here. So there's the peg and then this kind of piece right here that forms a gap, and then the flush part of the missile pod. So what ends up happening is it moves a lot. I don't know why they designed it like that. And that's the other bad thing that happens, is they fall off because they're not on there very well. So you have a flimsy piece that is prone to falling off. And I'm not even trying to do this. It's just falling off constantly. Now there is another form. So you're going to go ahead and remove this piece here. We're going to take this other handle, which is kind of the opposite. So you have one, the little red cameras in the top left corner, which is the standard handle for the missile pod in its regular configuration. And then you have another one that's opposite. So we're going to go ahead and grab this one, and we're going to put a missile pod on the opposite side and on top. And then you're going to fold the handle in like that on both of these. And now it comes with 3 connector points. So you have the vertical peg, which I believe goes to like the cold climate GM. You have a horizontal peg right here, which goes to mobile suits like the regular GM. And then you have kind of a snap-on connector type, which goes to figures like the GM Sniper Custom. So you'll take your missile pod and very simply connect each side right here and watch everything fall apart. And once you get it together, if you get it together, you kind of create a backpack missile launcher thing. It is hinged here as well as here, so they're pretty movable if you dare to move them, because they will fall apart. But let's take a look at what these weapons look like on mobile suits. So the first 2 weapons here are the rail cannon with the 4-tube missile launcher and the beam spray gun from the GM Land Combat type. They look really good. The beam spray gun, I mean, it's pretty simplistic. The rail cannon has the movable stock, which in its collapsed form kind of gets in the way of the arm, so I don't know why it wasn't just molded to be fully extended at all times. The handle works well for like a 2-handed support shot. I decided to give the weapons to my GM cannon, but you can really give them to whatever mobile suit you want. So let's take a look at a couple others. So here we have the GM outfitted with a couple weapons. We have the beam spray gun from the Desert GM, the missile launcher backpack, as well as the shield with a beam saber attached. So for the shield, you can see right here where the beam saber just snaps right in. And there's also a spot on the other side here where you can attach another beam saber. The gun works well. You know, it's just a single piece, so it looks good, looks like how it's supposed to. And the backpack is still pretty awful. So it connects back here, up at this top hard point. And it's flimsy. I mean, to move it around, you know, if I wanted to pull it out of this position, I'm knocking things off. And there goes the other one. And it's just a flimsy, not very well designed piece. I mean, and you can see it does stuff like this where you have to kind of put it back in place. It just doesn't work well, unfortunately. So let's check out some of the other accessories real quick. So we have the GM cannon here again, with the rail cannon from the GM Land Combat type, as well as the missile launcher in its regular configuration. Well, they both look pretty good. The rail cannon's a little bulky, although it is a larger design. I think they made it a tad too bulky, and the missile launcher still has its major issues, even in this configuration, unfortunately. It's still a mess. I'm afraid if I touch it, it's just going to fall apart. So overall here, we got some really interesting weapons that were neat but felt pointless at the same time. We got 2 weapons from the Desert GM, which we don't have a figure for. We had 3 weapons for the Land Combat GM, which we also don't have a figure for. And then we have a modular weapon, similar to the modular piece in the Xeon set, which was the coolant tank backpack. So we had a weapon that could be a missile launcher for an 8th MS Team Ground Gundam or Ground GM, which we also don't have a figure for. Or it could be a backpack missile launcher, which I believe they got the design from the Shimoda Squad GM Sniper Custom from MSVR, which we also don't have a figure for in the correct colors. So it's a neat weapon set, a neat idea, poorly executed. None of these weapons were weapons we actually needed. It just felt like they just churned out a couple designs and kind of called it a day. The missile launcher is an absolute mess, no matter what configuration you have it in. And I feel like, same as I said in the Xeon set, this could have been done a lot better. This could have been an effect part set. You know, they could have picked different weapons. One thing that I've been clamoring for ever since the release of the GM is alternate bazooka storages. So you have the bazooka being able to be stored upright. It's kind of like how they depict it in some games, instead of horizontally on the back. So I think that would have been a real simple piece they could have included to do that. You know, the GM Sniper Custom, I was mistaken in my review in saying that the rifle it included was the updated version. That's actually the original version that you get with the figure, but it would have been cool to have the Zeta Gundam era beam rifle that the GM Sniper Custom uses as a, you know, for the figure. And then the GM Sniper 2 has a lot of rifles that the figure did not come with, that are kind of alternative rifles that would have been neat to make. I mean, they could have done a lot of things with this set, and unfortunately what they chose to do is just kind of odd. You had one rail cannon that acts like a bazooka. We don't have effect parts for either of the rail cannons that are proper. The missile launcher doesn't have any effect parts, which is odd because it would, if done right, I think would be the neatest one to have effect parts, but I don't know, it just felt rushed. Neither of these weapon set really wowed me, and I hope they kind of kill the idea and go into something else. So thank you for watching my review. Let me know if you like the weapon set or what you would have liked to have seen in here instead of what we got. Thank you for the support, and I will see y'all next time.